Welcome to another episode of Biz Money Talks with Tracey Bissett. I'm very excited. We've got a special guest today, Heather Dumas. Welcome to the show, Heather.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Well, I'm very excited that you are here today. And you are a personal trainer, nutritionist, lifestyle coach, and you're best known for your no-nonsense approach and success you've had helping women transform their lives by prioritizing self-care without sacrifice for over 10 years. You are the best-selling author of 3 cookbooks, which is amazing. And you're a speaker and, of course, a coach, but your clients are kind of all over the map in terms of what they do. They range from attorneys, physicians, executives of large corporations, 6-figure entrepreneurs, and C-suite executives. And I love how you say when you aren't kicking people's butt via Zoom, you enjoy the greatest snow on earth with your family. And we were just talking about snow before we hit record and how we have a lot in Toronto and you don't have as much as you would like. So welcome again.
Yes, Mother Nature is not being kind to us so far this season. It's making me crazy.
Well, it can always snow tomorrow, so I'll cross my fingers for you.
Thank you.
Now, I'd love if you can share in your own words really what drove you into this line of work and a little bit more about your experience so we can hear directly from you.
Sure. Well, I've always been an athlete. I've always been interested in movement, but I never really thought of it as a career, more of just something I did for myself. And then I started teaching group fitness about 12 years ago. And I was at a bunch of different gyms, and as they started to close down one by one, I had a pretty decent following of people who were like, now what? Now what do we do? So I got certified to be a trainer just to help them. And again, myself and my husband, because we're really interested in being healthy. And then it evolved into a business, and now I'm loving it. But it really, like I said, it was never really my goal in the beginning. I've always been really passionate about helping people be healthier, connecting with people on a more personal level, not just, to give them something, like a diet plan to follow, but really to understand what's going on in their life and help them better it. So that's what I do now.
Well, definitely we can see your passion shining through. And here we talk about everything kind of related to business, and we like to see how it ties into money. And as business owners, it's so crucial that we manage our stress, that we take care of ourselves, but we don't always do that. And when we don't do that, then we can't really drive the results and the performance we want in our business. So I'm excited that you're here today, so you will be able to talk through how do we manage our stress, how do we make time for ourselves, to really then be able to generate great optimal personal results for our life, but then drive them in our business as well. So really excited for the chat and how we're going to dive in. Now, when it comes to people that you're working with right now or seeing or encountering, because they may not be people who've actually seen that this is something that they need to do, whether it's professionals or business owners, what are you seeing with their levels of stress and certainly with self-care?
Well, I think it's no secret that the last couple of years have been pretty taxing on all of us. And our stress levels, especially, I mostly work with women. Our stress levels are like exponentially growing, between shutdowns and homeschooling. And, if your business wasn't already online, you're now welcome to our world online. I've been here since 2019, but, it's a lot to juggle. And there are fewer boundaries. There are fewer, hard lines in the sand of this is work and this is home and this is my time and this is their time. And because of that, we are taking on more and more and more and more and not stepping back or pushing pause enough to just take care of ourselves. We're holding ourselves to this insane standard of I need to be super mom, and now I need to be the teacher, and now I need to still be the CEO, and and without leaving your house. So it's understandably really, really stressful right now.
Absolutely. And certainly I've seen it across my friend group, across my client group, everybody, even my students at school. So, so many business owners are focused on keeping everything running day to day. They often forget to take care of themselves. And with what you just described as kind of being their lack of boundaries because of the way the situation has been for so long, what gets in the way in terms of business owners really taking care of themselves from your perspective?
Again, I think it's that desire to be all the things to all the people. It's very hard to oftentimes to say no to a client meeting or a, strategy session so that you can go to the gym or so that you can make lunch, or, say no to your kids' activities so that you can, sit down and take a breath. And again, the boundaries, they just aren't there. And we hold ourselves, and we've kind of been conditioned societally to do all these things, right? You're not a good mom if you don't go to all the soccer games, and you're not a good boss if you're not available 24/7 for any meeting that happens to come up, and you're not a good, spouse or partner if you're not emotionally available all the time, when sometimes, what, I just need a minute. I just need a minute. And so I think that the biggest struggle that we found now is just finding it time to put it in our calendar and not feeling guilty about it. That's really what I find my clients struggle with, is they know what to do. Most of them, they know relatively, and they have a pretty good idea of what they need to do as far as like what to eat and what to do. But they look at their calendar and they're like, when am I
going to do that?
When in the world am I supposed to go and exercise? When am I supposed to grocery shop? When am I supposed to cook? Are you kidding me? Like, I can't even, I eat standing up most days, right? So we look at their calendars and we find that there are actually a lot of pockets during the day that we waste. I know that that's the worst thing to say to a high achiever, is that they're wasting time, because they don't think they're wasting time, but it's not necessarily conscious waste. It's, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. And if you can piecemeal that together to a 30 to 45 minute block of time where you can do something that benefits you and only you, it makes you better for everyone else.
Absolutely. I found a lot through 2021. I wasn't walking my dog very much. And so I was sitting at my computer, getting pain in my shoulders, pain in my arms. She's hurt her leg, so I can't send her with the dog walker anymore. So I'm making sure I got those times in my schedule to walk her, which is good. It's better for me, better for her, better for me. So
something just as simple as that is so huge. It is so huge to bring your stress level down, to help your muscles work and your digestive system work and your hormones start to regulate, getting out in the sunlight, breathing some fresh air, being around a creature. Furry creatures, I do a lot for our well-being, so, and it doesn't, like, people always think they have to spend 3 hours in the gym and eat chicken and broccoli out of a box, and that's just not accurate. It's just not accurate. Walking your dog, if you do it regularly and you do it at a pretty brisk pace, can actually do a lot for you.
Excellent. I'm glad, because I do usually get my 10,000 steps a day from doing that. So that's pretty good. So you've already shared a couple actionable tips that people can put into practice, because I know everybody who's tuning in, they really want something they can grab onto and actually put it into practice. What other tips or strategies do you have for those who want to make a change? They want to manage their stress. They want to take care of themselves. And we're still really early in the year. It's only January 31st. Yeah. So there's a lot of opportunity for us to put some positive steps in place.
Plan. Clear back in, I don't know, high school, I got all excited because I got a day planner, like the actual paper ones that we used to use, and I've always been all about planning. And I think it's because I was always juggling a lot of balls. I was an athlete. I was a student. I had, part-time jobs, and I did little babysitting jobs and stuff on that. So I was always juggling a lot of balls. And as we grow up, we're still juggling a lot of balls. And then we take on more and more and more, and then we volunteer for the PTA, and I'm a Girl Scout leader, and, we volunteer to coach our kids' team. And you get to where you've got all these things happening, and you may plan well enough that you're on time to practice and you don't forget the soccer ball and all that. But then it comes dinner time and you're like, I guess we'll just get takeout, or I'll just order a pizza, or we'll just microwave something. We plan all these other things, but we don't plan ourselves. There's no you on your calendar. So I would highly, highly recommend that the first thing you put on your calendar is you. Right. Find a spot for you to exercise. Find a spot for you to prepare some healthy meals. And if you put it on there, it's way more likely to happen. If it's not on there, we all know it's not going to happen.
For sure. And I loved what you said about not the wasting time, but finding those pockets where maybe you could move something around so that you could get a dedicated half hour, 45 minutes. Because if we were very conscious of our schedule, it wouldn't take too much to actually do that because we could
No.
just block that time off.
No, and really being intentional with those time blocks. There's a lot of time blocks that, you're sitting in a doctor's office maybe, or you're in between Zoom calls, or you're sitting in the carpool line, or whatever. There's a lot of 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. And if you can use that time for grocery shopping, or getting everything in your online grocery cart so you can just pick it up, or, planning out some dinners for the week, things like that, that's really useful. And if you want to move during that, 5 minutes, 5 times a day, that's 25 minutes worth of movement. Maybe you would not have gotten if you just do a few lunges or walk around the block a couple times or something. So you can definitely use that time.
I'm just chuckling because I don't know if I would get up and move for 5 minutes, but I know that the benefits are there because you can clear your head, you get different energy flowing through your body, you wake
and you're more
up.
productive.
Yeah.
You're way, way more productive. If you're working on a big project, you're like, for me, copywriting and content creation is a really brain suck for me. It takes a lot of energy. So if I sit down, I try to do 2 hours, I'm not going to get as much done as if I do, 20, 25 minutes, get up, walk around, get a drink of water, come back and start again, walk outside, look at the sun so that you get some vitamin D and your brain wakes up a little bit. You're going to be a lot more productive. And there's actually a lot of science behind moving a little bit frequently during the day being really, really beneficial as far as, burning calories, reducing body fat versus a long workout in the morning and then sitting all day.
Oh, good to know.
So there's actually a lot of science behind that.
That's probably why my watch nudges me to get up and move around by heaven at 10 to the hour.
Yes, exactly.
Excellent. Now, when you work with your clients, and I talked about like kind of the range of professions, like anybody who's really committed to their health, who needs some help, they're reaching out to you, and particularly women. What are the results that they see once they start implementing some of the teachings and the strategies and tips that you're able to share with them?
I think the first thing that they start to feel is a weight off, but not their physical like body weight, of just a release of, okay, I don't have to carry this burden around. They just feel so weighed down and so just pounded into the ground by work and life that they're carrying the world on their shoulders. And as soon as we start to free up some time for them to go for a walk, free up some time to have a healthy meal, all of a sudden they stand a little taller, they feel a little bit better, and it just goes from there. I've had several clients who they struggled with depression, anxiety, all kinds of things like that. And it was mostly because they weren't giving themselves time. They didn't sleep well. They weren't eating well. They weren't exercising. And when you don't do those basic things, you can go down a pretty dark place. Depression is, I actually just recorded a podcast episode about this because it's really interesting how it can come at you from a lot of different ways. And it can be combated a lot of different ways, whether it's diet and exercise, or it's understanding your hormones. And if we aren't treating our bodies the way we need to, our hormones get all jacked up. And when the hormones get jacked up, it's over, right? We all remember being adolescents, and your body does not seem like your own. And, all of a sudden you're crying and you don't know why. And, that happens as adults too, if we don't take care of ourselves. So most of my clients, their energy goes up. Obviously their body weight goes down, but more than anything, they just feel better. They've got more stamina. They've got more energy. They've got more life. They're excited to, get up and get going. And interestingly, a lot of them make some pretty big life changes, whether it's finding a new job or starting their own business, or, taking on grad school, just different things that they didn't feel like they could do because they just felt so, ugh.
Yeah, they were feeling that weight.
Yeah.
So they're like, I can't possibly change anything I'm doing.
How am I going to go look for a new job right now? I can barely keep my head above water, when the job that they were doing is partly what's pulling them under the water. So that's been really cool. Really cool
That's
to see.
really exciting. So the weight off, and I know that exact feeling you're talking about. I can see it happen to my clients when I'm coaching there on their financials, because
Mm-hmm.
once they have an understanding and they either have a sense of the problem or they know there's no problem, you can just see it lift right off, and all of a sudden they're walking
Yes.
taller because that one big stress is gone. But with life, you have so many different stresses. It's not just money.
And the ripple effect is interesting, isn't it? I'm sure you see it with
Mhm.
your clients too. As soon as you start to get something figured out, whether it's your finances or your physical health, the ripple effect goes through your whole life. And you start to, like my podcast partner is a professional organizer, because suddenly when you start to take care of your body, you look around and you're like, maybe I should tidy up this house a little bit, and then you open up your checkbook and you're like, wow, we should probably get control of that too. And once you learn the habits of being, diligent with your finances or diligent with your health and wellness, then you can apply those habits elsewhere, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's totally, yeah, the way I see it as well. So love how you shared that with us. And before I let you go, would love to hear any final tips that you have for business owners who are watching us live or catching the replay. And it might be something you've already mentioned that you really want to make sure that they take in, or it
Mhm.
might be something brand new you want to leave them with.
Um, I would say be careful with headlines.
Good.
Be careful with headlines. The world of health, and I'm sure, Tracy, it's probably the same way in money as well. If you don't understand what's behind the headlines and you just jump into crypto or keto, they rhyme, crypto, keto. I
Absolutely.
imagine there is probably a pitfall on both of them, that and they're both beneficial if you apply them correctly, right? So I would just be very careful with the headlines. That's one thing that I deep dive into the science. I geek out on it, on every trend that comes up, every podcast I can get my hands on, every book I can get my hands on, so that I can really understand how our bodies work and why they're doing what they do. Because just because your girlfriend got on keto and she lost 50 pounds and she feels great, that does not mean it's going to work for you. It may, or it may not. And it may be working for her now, but it may not be a good long-term solution for her. I'm not saying keto is good
Mhm.
or bad, it applies to the right people, So be careful with headlines. Don't just read the headlines and jump on the
Love
latest
that.
trend, but do the research. And, I would love to be a resource for people if they're like, hey, what do you think about this? I write all kinds of blogs. I do all kinds of videos talking about as many things as I can to get that information out there so that you can make an educated decision and do what is right for your body.
Excellent. Yeah, I was just reading on the weekend how popular TikTok is for people to get financial advice, which was flooring me.
I can
So,
imagine that would be terrifying.
yeah, so financial advice is one of the number one reasons people go there. It's just scary. So make sure you're digging in, and if you're taking advice, you take it from someone credible who has the training, who actually works with
Yeah.
people and understands the science, like Heather, to make sure you're not getting into something that's
So
going to harm
funny.
your body.
I always tell my teenager, like, just because you saw it on TikTok does not mean it's true or
True.
accurate or we should do it.
Absolutely. And so, what are you working on now? And for everybody who wants to learn more about you and potentially reach out, how can they do that?
Well, I just launched my Dream Big planner for the year, which is a great place to start if you want to make some changes, whether it's financial or physical. It's about your whole life. And like I said, planning is everything. And
Mhm.
it's more than dreaming. It's more than setting an intention. It's more than a resolution or even a goal. It is a plan. It's if you want to, you know, grow your savings account, or you want to lose weight, you can't just say, I'm going to do it. You have to have a plan, right? And the more concrete, the more specific your plan, the more likely you are to execute it and achieve that goal or that dream. So I just launched that, and I would love for people to use that to decide what they want 2022 to look like. But
And they can find that on your website.
they can find that on my website. Yep.
Okay.
And I'm such a freak about planners that I have 3 planners, that one and 2 others. So the other 2 are free. So you can take a look. But I'm working on just getting out there and letting women specifically, but everyone know that you don't have to sacrifice feeling good in order to do fill in the blank. Be a mom, be a boss, run a company. You don't have to give up how you feel in order to be successful at those things. You can actually do it all, and you can do it all almost simultaneously.
Yeah, with the plan and fitting everything in.
With a plan.
Excellent. So we're going to put in the link, Heather's LinkedIn, her website, which is hdtransformations.com. And I'm certainly going to put the link to your podcast as well.
Yes.
Because those who've enjoyed the interview, I'm sure they'll like to hear more from you and get some more tips directly from you. And that episode that you mentioned about depression would probably be a great one for so many people to check out as well. So thank you so much for joining us today, Heather. It's been interesting chat, and certainly nothing that is earth-shattering, but I think we all need these really important reminders about setting boundaries, taking that time for ourselves, planning, and then what happens when we do that weight lifting off of us, the weight falling off of us if we're doing the things that are in the plan. And that's going to permeate throughout our whole lives. And it's probably going to improve our health overall, improve our relationships. And we're going to be able to start living life a little bit more fully, which has been challenged over the last couple of years. But we want to make 2022 the year where we're taking hold of everything again. So for those who've loved the interview, check out the planners on Heather's site. So the Dream Big Planner and those other two at hdtransformations.com. So thank you so much, Heather.
Thank you.
Well, it's certainly been my pleasure. For those listening, thank you for tuning in and catching the replay. We certainly appreciate the support, and everything relates to your overall financial well-being of your business. If you're certainly performing at your best and taking care of yourself, you're going to be able to drive better results in your business.
If you're burned out and in bed sick, you're not going to be making very much money. That's for darn sure.
That is for sure. And so for those who want to keep the money conversation going, you can always join us at our weekly meetup at bizmoneyclub.com, and you can get registered for that. So until next time, take good care and stay financially fit.